In the Victorian era, Ezra Cornell didn't just set out to build Cornell University, he also poured his time and resources into constructing Llenroc, a Gothic Revival masterpiece perched high up on a nearby hill. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Ezra Cornell's climb from a young carpenter to a millionaire philanthropist is a classic rags to riches tale. He was born in 1807 at Westchester Landing in today's Bronx, New York. As a young man, he worked as a carpenter and mechanic, wandering across upstate New York honing his trade. In 1828, at 21 years old, Cornell arrived in the small town of Ithaca and decided it would be his home. He found work with the local mill owner, Jeremiah Beebe, building and repairing mills along Ithaca's gorges and waterways. Over several years, Cornell proved himself an ingenious and hardworking manager, eventually overseeing all of Beebe's mill operations on Fall Creek by the early 1830s. Ambitious to improve his lot, Cornell jumped at an opportunity in 1843 that would change his life forever. He invested in a new patent for a plow and traveled extensively to sell it, journeying as far as Georgia and Maine. Fate intervened when Cornell happened to pass through Washington, D.C. amid excitement over a revolutionary invention, Samuel Morse's telegraph. He met an associate of Morse who was struggling to bury telegraph wires underground. Drawing on his mechanical insight, Cornell invented a special plow that could dig a trench, lay a telegraph cable, and cover it in one go. This ingenious device initially seemed promising, but the underground cables suffered from moisture and installation problems, so the project switched to stringing wires on poles, a method Cornell helped perfect by introducing glass insulators to help support the lines. Impressed with his resourcefulness, Morse hired him, and he devoted himself to the burgeoning telegraph industry. He supervised construction of some of America's first telegraph lines, including the landmark Washington to Baltimore line in 1844, and became a leading figure in the field. As the industry grew, fierce competition led to consolidation. In the 1850s, his lines merged with others to form the Western Union Telegraph Company, and Cornell received stock in the new venture that made him incredibly wealthy. Having secured his fortune, Ezra Cornell turned his energies towards philanthropy and public service. In 1862, he endowed the Cornell Free Library in downtown Ithaca, the city's first public library, with $300,000. Cornell's most famous act of philanthropy, of course, was founding Cornell University. The idea took root with the 1862 Moral Land Grant Act, a federal program that offered land to states to finance colleges teaching agriculture and the mechanic arts. Ezra Cornell, by then a New York State legislator, teamed up with educator Andrew Dixon White to establish a new kind of university in Ithaca, one that would embrace practical education and classical studies on an equal footing. He personally contributed $500,000 of his own money and donated his 300-acre farm on Ithaca's East Hill as the site for the new campus. In 1865, Cornell University received its charter and the campus opened in 1868. By the mid-1860s, Ezra Cornell was at the height of his prominence, a wealthy businessman, state senator, benefactor of libraries, and co-founder of a major university. It was in this context that he turned to building Llenroc. When Ezra Cornell first envisioned a new house in Ithaca, he did not intend it to be a palace. At the time Cornell University was chartered, he planned to put up an ordinary, comfortable residence on a parcel of his farmland below the new campus. However, Andrew D. White, Cornell's friend and the university's first president, had grander ideas. White persuaded Ezra to build not a simple farmhouse, but rather an imposing and expensive new Gothic stone mansion worthy of Cornell's achievements. Taking White's advice to heart, Cornell embarked on his only real architectural extravagance, the design and construction of Llenroc. The Albany architects Nicholas and Brown drew up plans. Work began in 1867, and what was supposed to be a modest home blossomed into a formidable Gothic Revival villa unlike anything else in the area. Llenroc took nearly 10 years to build, from 1865 to 1875, and Ezra Cornell himself kept a watchful eye on the project. He oversaw daily construction not only of his house, but also of the university's first building simultaneously. Ever the hands-on manager, Cornell insisted on quality. He personally inspected the masonry and even scolded builders for any shoddy work. In a report to the trustees, he noted that, quote, "Constant watching has been necessary to prevent the masons from setting stones on edge. I had occasion also to complain about the lack of suitable tiles in the roof. If not, I will see that it is done." The founder, who had laid telegraph lines with his own hands, was determined that his mansion be built right. To achieve the level of artistry he wanted for Llenroc, Cornell recruited skilled craftsmen from Europe. Under Ezra's supervision, these craftsmen gave the mansion its distinctive High Victorian Gothic Revival character. Some of Llenroc's most striking features are found in its materials and ornamentation. The mansion is built of smooth-finished Ithaca limestone laid in massive walls 2 feet thick, with the stones arranged in a random ashlar pattern. Carved dripstones and foliage motifs adorn the window hoods, and a graceful stone-arcaded porch shelters the main entrance. Inside, the mansion originally featured grandly proportioned rooms with high ceilings, ornate woodwork, and sumptuous finishes. As Llenroc neared completion in the 1870s, Ezra Cornell's life was approaching its final chapter. The Panic of 1873, a severe economic depression, had taken a toll on his investments. In December 1874, he contracted pneumonia and soon passed away at the age of 67, mere weeks before Llenroc was finished. Cornell's death was mourned nationally, but nowhere more than in Ithaca. The unfinished Llenroc mansion itself played a role in the mourning. On the eve of the funeral, Ezra Cornell's body was laid in state in the new house's spacious halls. With Ezra gone, Llenroc became the Cornell family home, at least for a time. By the turn of the 20th century, however, the remaining Cornell family members found Llenroc too large and costly to maintain for their needs. The younger generation spent more time elsewhere, and the mansion was often closed up for long stretches. The family began subdividing and selling off parts of the estate. Over the years, much of the original 15 acres was sold and developed into other residences along Stewart Avenue and Cornell Street. Finally, in 1911, 37 years after Ezra's death, his 2 surviving daughters decided to sell the mansion. The buyer was an organization that understood the mansion's significance, the Pi chapter of the Delta Phi fraternity at Cornell University. The fraternity era ensured that Llenroc remained an active, lived-in home rather than a shuttered relic. Except for interruptions during both World Wars, when the US military requisitioned the house to quarter servicemen, the Brothers of Delta Phi have continuously resided in Llenroc since 1911. Over the decades, they modernized the amenities, adding things like central heating, electricity, and internet, but took pains to preserve the mansion's historic character. Inevitably, the original Victorian-era furnishings gave way to more practical furniture for student living, and walls gained framed photos of fraternity classes, but key architectural features and many original fixtures remain intact. By the late 20th century, it was clear that Llenroc was a treasure worth formally protecting. In 1980, the mansion was added to the National Register of Historic Places, recognizing its architectural and historical significance. Today, Llenroc stands in excellent condition. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Llenroc? Let me know down below in the comments section. My goal for this year is to reach 1 million subscribers, so if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and let's reach this goal together. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on This House.